First, you need to know something about them. The beautiful ones, the flawless four. Everybody wanted to be them.
Nobody wanted to be these daffy broads, Kit.
You know them. They went to your school too. They totally ruled.
These are high school students who dress like they are 40-year-old divorcees about to audition for a role in Sex and the City. My high school wasn't like this. Nobody's high school was like this. At least when Clueless pulled this shit, they knew it was a joke.
Every high school has girls who dress up. What do you mean?
Maybe, but not like this. Also, the one girl who they transform into a monster, she has a whole new wardrobe and hairstyle. Who paid for that?
Good question, Joe.
Not now, George.
I'm getting the impression you didn't like this movie, Joe.
I fucking hated this movie. It was the stupidest piece of shit I ever seen. I cannot believe you've actually forced us to watch this terrible, awful, stupid fucking movie.
Hey!
I am so enraged right now.
Calm down. You're supposed to wait until the end of the show, you maniac.
Welcome to Does This Still Work? The podcast looks at old movies and asks, does it still work? I'm Joe Dixon.
And I'm George Romaka. And today we're discussing Jawbreaker from 1999.
I'd like to break someone's jaw.
I'm sure you would, Joe. And some historical context. First, podcasty stuff. You can reach us at dtswpod@gmail.com, on Facebook, Letterboxd, IMDb, and on our YouTube channel. Plus, Joe is on something called Blue Sky. Please tell your friends about us and leave 5-star ratings everywhere. You can pick what we watch and get extra per episode content by funding us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month.
$1 a month, people, come on.
$1 a month.
$1 a month.
At patreon.com/dtswpod. And one more thing. You may have heard already, we have a guest again. Please welcome back for another round of teen angsty torment, the funniest person to ever give me a hickey, Kit Nowokunski.
Yay!
Yay!
Hello, peoples.
Hi, Kit.
I actually remembered something, because I know I already explained why we were doing this Girl Bully, was it Quadfecta? Quadfecta here.
Yeah, Girl Bully-tacular.
Yeah, Girl Bully Palooza.
Right, but you have to explain it each time. This is a new episode.
Yeah.
People may have not heard of the last episode.
What had happened was I was watching Clueless with George, and that's when I realized that we should do a girl bully movie trope thing with the usually awkward girl that gets, well, that didn't happen in the first one. Well, just like the girl group movies that you would watch as a young lady about terrible women.
Girl group movies written by men for some reason and directed by men.
Yeah, I was watching Clueless and I thought, well, that's easily like Heather's, Jawbreaker, Mean Girls, all those movies kind of like they're in the same genre and usually has terrible people in it. So, and apparently only one that we know of is written by women.
A very interesting discovery.
Yep.
In all honesty, I would not have guessed that. I would have thought at least a couple of them were done by women. I was surprised.
Not after watching them.
No, not after watching them, but I never watched them.
After listening to your show and realizing how little women really had to do with directing and writing in like the feminine films that you do, it is quite amazing that like Tina Fey has a job. she's fucking amazing. That woman, good for her.
All right, Joe. Take us back to 1999.
I will, although I do want to object to your whole, the funniest person ever gave me a hickey. I gave you that hickey that one time, if you remember, and you said it was very funny.
You gave
No,
George
you giving me the hickey was funny, but I gotta say, it's funnier than you.
Well.
I know I'm funnier than him, but also, why? Is this a real thing?
Yes, it's a totally real thing.
No, it's not a totally real thing.
When
it's
we're
called
not around you,
yes-anding.
when we're not around you, me and George are making out like a band.
I don't know. I
have sucked that man's tongue like you would.
I'm just saying, like, maybe you were doing some kind of weird arm hickey thing. I don't know what guys get up to.
Arm hickey? What the hell is arm hickey?
I don't know, but you saying you'll suck my tongue is my new ringtone.
It is.
Don't deny it, George. Don't deny our love.
I've been trying to come on to you for years.
I don't want the podcast to be any longer than an actual movie, so I'm gonna keep the history corner short. Kit and George weigh in, as I mentioned, the 5 most popular TV shows of 1999 among the youth. Going in no particular order, we had Dawson's Creek.
Never watched it at all.
Boo, boring. Never really watched it.
I also never seen it.
I do know the theme song, though.
Oh, everyone knows the theme song. Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Watched every episode.
Okay, I watched that entire thing with Kit.
Really? We watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer together?
I think so.
No.
Or maybe
no.
not.
I would not go through that again.
You didn't like it?
No, see, here's the deal. My best friend at the time when that was airing was obsessed with the show. So an episode would come out and he would record it on a VHS and then on repeat.
For a week.
We would watch it and then go through like the back DVD log and start from beginning. Like, that's how much I've had to watch fucking Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I watched it
Okay, maybe I watched it before we got together. I just try to forget the time that I was with you.
Yeah, just merge it all in.
Cool. I did watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I watched it with my friend Bernard, and we were both
Scooby!
I would watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer with Bernard. That would be awesome.
It was weird. I don't know how we got into the show, to be honest. We were unemployed at the time. We were doing a lot of temp work. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, and I was living with him at the time, and for some reason, we suddenly started watching the show about this teenage vampire killer.
Yeah, because it was on UPN and like probably repeat.
I guess. I don't know what was up. Anyway, the next thing the youth of this era loved was The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which had actually ended its run in 1996, but remained popular with teens and reruns.
Yeah, here's a story all about how I didn't watch a damn bit of this.
You never watched
Really?
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
No, I mean, I've seen it accidentally occasionally, but...
Well, George doesn't like to watch shows with black people in it, apparently.
Apparently. Well, I'm
Like,
sure his mom...
Office, a white man show.
Actually, knowing who he was living with when he was a teenager, it wouldn't surprise me that black media was not allowed on the television.
Don't throw the X under the bus like that.
No, not
as
the
a
X.
teenager.
My mom.
Yeah.
Oh.
She's dead now. It's fine. What's she gonna do?
You had 11 living arrangements, George. So I was confused about which lady you were living.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't know this was a mom reference. Excuse me. Okay, how about Charmed? One of the stars of this film, Rose McGowan, was in that show, and it was about witches.
Yeah, that show got real bad. Like, but it went on for so long. I watched every episode of that.
Yeah, never watched it.
Never saw one episode of it.
The theme song is awesome. It's worth it just for like the I am the earth, I am the air, I am human and I need to be loved.
Wow, I don't think I've ever heard the theme song.
I don't know, but that's Joe's, dating profile.
That's true.
Oh.
Anyway, the next show that was popular with young people of this era was That 70s Show, which was a show about the 1970s, but was popular with people born in the 1980s. Also, the show was recently in the news as one of its stars just got 30 years in prison for being a serial rapist.
Yeah.
And I never watched this one either.
Danny Masterson.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, and my dad loved watching it because he really connected with Red Foreman.
Which one was that?
The grumpy dad.
Oh, okay.
He very much connected emotionally, I think, to the grumpy tool-wielding father who was sick of children being stupid.
Well, who isn't sick of children being stupid? The next show was A Seventh Heaven, a family drama about a reverend who is a father to children of various ages, and the storylines were all about that. And, surprise, one of the stars of that series was accused of committing sexual abuse, although, in his case, he was never charged. But he was, as the right wing loves to say, canceled. And in this case, he really was canceled because the guy isn't working in show business anymore.
Was he even still working in show business before, as anything but like a Christian Hallmark Channel movie guy?
Well, he definitely was still working because I remember he was on Scandal as a reporter.
Oh.
And then once this controversy came out, he was no longer on Scandal.
Well, I guess it was just too much scandal for that.
I guess it was too scandalous even for them.
Scandal.
But did you watch Seventh Heaven?
Nope.
I never actually watched the show more than for one episode because I saw Pastor and I was like, oh no, stop.
I truly never, unlike Well, I guess I never saw an episode of Trump. I did see like fleeting episodes of That 70s Show. I never watched it, but I saw some parts of it. Mm-hmm. I've never seen any episode of Seventh Heaven or Charmed. It just never got on my radar. I knew they existed. Well, I guess they were on my radar. I knew they existed, but never saw even a clip of one of them.
I would accidentally find myself in the middle of an episode because it would play probably after something I actually wanted to watch. So I'd look up and I hear Seventh Heaven. And I'd be like, make it stop.
All right, here are some popular books teens of the era, that would be 1999, enjoyed. They were Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Am I saying that right?
Azkaban.
Azkaban. It was written by J.K. Rowling, a woman who would go on to be both a billionaire and someone out to destroy the lives of trans people, especially children. Don't ask me why. Did either of you read that?
Of course.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I did, but not when I was a kid.
Time, yeah.
When did you read it?
I read it when the movies came out, because...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I read it after I had kids.
Yeah, I think I probably watched it before George did. Yeah, then I read them all. Because I didn't like her before the movies came out. I was like, she seems like kind of a call you next Tuesday. And I watched the movies and I was like, these are pretty good movies. I'll read these books. And she got a pass until recently.
I tried getting into the books. I just could not read them. I didn't entertain me in the least.
Yeah.
And I saw the first movie, didn't care for it, and never came back. So Harry Potter was just not my jam.
Yeah, they're like cohesive and they're fair to to a point, and they're fun to read. So but I can find other fun things to read. That's just what happened to be popular.
They just didn't work for me. Another book that was popular that I've never even heard of was called Speak by Laurie Howes Anderson. This was a young adult novel dealing with issues such as social ostracism and sexual assault.
Yeah.
There is no theme here, folks. That topic just keeps revisiting us. I'm not doing it. But anyway, did any of you read this?
No.
Joe, in 1999, I was a conservative evangelical, and in summer of that year, I went off to boot camp. I read nothing that wasn't explicitly Christian content at that time in my life.
Creepy. I was reading probably better stuff.
Yep.
But did you read Speak?
Yeah, no. I wouldn't have bothered with that. I was like, that's all too serious to be reading. That's popular? Oof. Let me read some depression reading. That's
I love depressing books.
It's stressful enough. Oh, you like depressing books?
Oh, sure, of course.
Okay, my auntie would because I loved reading romance novels when I was a teen, and my aunt would give me these romance novels that were just depression books. Like, she doesn't fall in love with anyone good, and it always ends up like with her broken and saddened, possibly dead. Like, these are terrible books. So you like the bad endings. You prefer British television arcs. I'm guessing.
Oh, I don't know about that, but. Although, that's interesting you should say British, because George and I, for our anniversary show for this podcast, this film we're going to watch is The Third Man. And one of the things I really liked about this movie is that I love the ending, and the ending is a real downer. And it's set in Europe, although not in Britain. Anyway, but we'll get into that when that time comes. Another book that was popular was Holes by Louis Schachar. Schar, I don't know how to pronounce his name. This young adult novel is about a boy wrongly sentenced to a brutal detention camp, and I've never heard of it.
Yeah, me neither.
I think I've seen the movie, but
there's a movie called Holes?
Yeah, it's a.
And it wasn't a porno?
I know, right? No, it's a bunch of kids in a detention camp. It's kind of like, it's actually kind of, I thought it was cheesy, but it is what it is.
Okay.
I didn't read young adult novels at the time. I think that would have just been, fine.
I read everything, but I did not read that. And finally, Timeline by Michael Crichton, which is a science fiction novel involving time travel. According to the internet, the kids of 1999 really dug this book. Did you guys dig this book?
The children of 1999 were reading Timeline by Michael Crichton. Okay.
That's what I found in my research. I don't know if that's correct. My
senior year of high school, and I'm reading Timeline by Michael Crichton. Go fuck yourself. No.
I mean, I read Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Like around when the movie came out. I read the novel by Michael Crichton. So.
I hate time travel sci-fi. It's the worst.
Yeah,
Not
that's more the reason why we wouldn't be reading this, is because time travel is bullshit.
Yeah. I'm fine with, Back to the Future. That was fun, but that's about as fun as I want to have with time travel.
All right.
Marty McFly is where it started and ended.
Well, that's fine. Anyway, okay, George, tell us about Jawbreaker.
Alrighty. This was written and directed by a dude. Can you fucking believe that?
Well, I did until I saw the entire picture. Then I thought, oh yeah, a dude definitely did this.
So, written and directed by a dude, eh?
Yeah, Darren Stein. I haven't seen anything else.
Me neither.
So, on to blurbs then. Because the hanging dick on that guy already tells us everything we need to know about this movie.
What?
Thank you for that image.
Uh-huh. IMDb says 3 of the most popular girls at Reagan High accidentally kill the prom queen with a jawbreaker when a kidnapping goes horribly wrong.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Amazon says death totally bites in this dark comedy about the skin-deep beauty of the high school in crowd. Special appearances by Pam Grier, Carol Kane, and Marilyn Manson.
Mm-hmm.
I like special appearances. In other words, they're in the movie, and there are names you know, so therefore we're putting them there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait a minute. Marilyn Manson?
Yeah.
Hey, wasn't he recently in the news this year? George, please read this headline from The Independent.
Marilyn Manson, a timeline of the allegations against the embattled heavy metal star. Controversial artist is accused of abuse by more than a dozen women.
I said there was no thing, but there is, and that theme is men are terrible. Yes, this movie is about terrible young women, but in real life, dudes are assholes.
Yeah, and that's 2 of us saying that.
We got the hanging dicks too, and yet we also think guys are assholes.
I forgot to check, but were Marilyn Manson and Rose McGowan dating?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's
how he ended up in the movie.
Oh. Well, he's going to be on set anyway. Give my boyfriend a part.
Yep.
Yeah, I know he's creepy.
We'll get into it later, but apparently she is one of the few women he did not abuse.
Who knows? Well, she's pretty crazy in her own way.
She is crazy in her own way, but she did say that he never did that to her.
Yeah, good for her.
We start with voiceover narration from Fern Mayo.
Everyone in this picture is Mayo.
Uh-huh. She's giving us a rundown of the 4 most popular girls at the school. Courtney, Marcy Fox, Julie Freeman, and Liz Purr. We see Liz sleeping, and the voiceover says she is just the absolute best, and that she doesn't deserve what we're about to see. Courtney is played by Rose McGowan,
whom I've seen in Doom Generation, Scream, Going All the Way, and Grindhouse.
And I've seen in Encino Man and Biodome.
Now, Rose McGowan, who had a relationship with Manson, said she was never abused by him when they were together. She was abused by Hollywood scumbag and current prison inmate Harvey Weinstein, however. We've mentioned Harvey before.
Mm-hmm.
Marcy Fox is played by Julie Benz,
whom we've both seen in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
The TV show, that is.
TV show, yes.
I've seen her in As Good as It Gets and Dexter.
Mm.
Julie Freeman is played by Rebecca Gayheart,
whom I've seen in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
And I've seen in 2 different shows, Beverly Hills 90210 and Dead Like Me.
Liz Purr is played by Charlotte Ayana.
Fern Mayo is played by Judy Greer, whom for the podcast we've seen in What Women Want, and both George and I have seen in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Ant-Man, and Ant-Man and the Wasp.
So as someone who hadn't seen this movie before, I thought this was going dark in a terrifyingly different direction than it did. Terrifying because I have to ask myself why that particular flavor of dark was what my mind jumped to. 3 characters in hoodies and masks enter Liz's room. 2 restrain her, waking her up, while a 3rd pops a Jawbreaker candy into her mouth and then duct tapes over it. So now, Joe, what flavor of dark do you think I thought this was going to be?
Sexual assault?
Yeah. I mean, it's meant to be kind of like that. It's no good to die in your underwear either, so that's kind of annoying.
I have to say, again, and this seems to be a theme in a lot of these pictures, it seems awfully easy to get into people's homes, upper-class people's homes. I know these girls know this girl, so they probably do know a better way to get in, but it just seems weird. Heathers is like this film is like this, the other films we'll see is like this.
I don't think it's necessarily as much upper class as, you've always lived in the city, right? You've never lived in the suburbs?
I've never lived in the suburbs, no.
Yeah. In some suburbs, especially in the Midwest or in gated communities or just depending, some places in the South, you leave your doors open during the daytime. It is just a thing. Like, people are going to come through. It's rude not to.
Do women not concern themselves about that? That seems like if anyone's going to leave their doors unlocked, it seems like a dude thing, not a woman thing.
It's less, it is what it is. I'm sure there's plenty of people that get robbed and killed, but it's just, it is what it is. It's like you're less likely to do that in the city, though. Like, if you live in an apartment in a big city, you're just like, no, lock my doors. The cops could just walk in. No, thank you. But if you're in a house in a neighborhood, your neighbors watch out for you, too, for the most part.
Well, apparently they don't. In all these movies, the neighborhood watch doesn't exist.
Those are kids with a car they know. They would figure it'd be some shenanigans, but it's early in the morning.
Yeah, people going to work. Do you think they'd see them? They go, oh, this girl is dead? Oh, I saw these girls go there. That never happens.
No one cares.
No one says, like, hey, I saw them there that morning. How come, it's bullshit. This movie's bullshit. I'm sorry.
It is bullshit. There's got to be cameras somewhere. There's a guard at the gate of these people's fucking houses.
These are precious white people. There's no way they're this unprotected.
The three assailants carry the squirming Liz to their car and drop her in the trunk. As they speed off, they take off their disguises, revealing them to be Courtney, Marcy, and Julie. They, mostly Courtney, pat themselves on their own backs on the wonderful birthday prank, which next involves force-feeding Liz pancakes before sending her up a flagpole in her skivvies because these people are the absolute worst. Wait, let me check? Yep, written and directed by a man. Go figure.
These characters, right, these are basically little princesses, right? I think we can all agree with that. But they're princesses. Would this girl really be on her own for her birthday? Or would her parents already have something planned?
They may let her sleep in. It's supposed to be early in the morning. Her family has to work. They're probably going to do something in the evening, so they have time to embarrass her in the morning. She probably wanted to go to school, so she could have a party with all her friends.
Her parents are away right now.
Oh, they're away?
Her parents are not home.
That's exactly my point. Yeah, I was going to say that, yeah. Her parents are away. There is no chance a girl like this would be alone her birthday and her parents would be away. They'd be like putting together a party for her, or she would be putting a party together because her parents are away.
Okay, sometimes
none of that is evident in this
people
film.
don't give a fuck about birthdays.
In the parking lot of the movie genericized IHOP or whatever, the three girls set up to take a Polaroid of Liz as they open the trunk. When they do, all three are shocked to find Liz a blue corpse, eyes bulging out, and a Jawbreaker-sized lump in her throat.
Yeah.
The credits roll over a montage of photos from the four girls' childhoods together, with magazine cutouts like a desire to go bathing suit shopping, or everything you do dries out your lips. Everything. These photos are interspersed around the manufacturing of Jawbreaker candies. Playing over all of that is Veruca Salt's Volcano Girls.
By the way, are you guys familiar with Jawbreakers? I've never had that as a candy.
I'm familiar with it as a candy. I never wanted one because that just looked like a miserable fucking candy.
It is not a terrible candy. It's just a lollipop without a stick, is what it is.
The girls drive off, while the sanest one, Julie, and the sycophant one, Marcy, go through some stages of grief, but just the more entertaining ones. Courtney, a psychopath, resolves that
I am not getting fucked because I was sweet enough to play a clever little prank on my girlfriend for her birthday.
It's one way to frame it. To start covering their tracks, Courtney calls the school pretending to be Liz's mother to excuse her with a sick day. They arrive at school with Liz's body still in the trunk. Courtney uses her psychotic influence over the other two to berate them into acting like everything is, in her words, peachy keen. They enter the school and do the hallway walk thing with just the three of them.
In slow motion.
They evict the current occupants of a girl's bathroom so they can apply their makeup in peace, as well as continue their conspiring to keep themselves out of trouble.
Kit, you were a teenage girl at one time in your life. You used a female bathroom. Is that true? The cool girls come in and just throw you out?
No. Maybe. But, they never threw me out, because...
You were one of the cool girls.
No. I was one of the girls that would punch him in the face. What are they going to do? No, fuck you, try and tell me where I can and can't go. I'm an American. No, but I'm sure there were definitely kids that did get bullied out of the bathroom, I guess.
They barely apply their lipstick before the school's principal, Ms. Sherwood, comes in.
girls? Having a smoke, a toke, some dope? There is no loitering in the girls' room. Trouble brews in the girls' room, not so fast.
Trouble brews in the girls' room? I can't even begin to unravel the misogyny and whatever a severe disrespect for teenagers would be called that would result in that toss-away mumble.
I think trouble also brews in the boys' room, but, I think she's in charge of the girls' room. I think that's what that was.
I think it's a line she would say for both the boys and the girls, like trouble brews and the blah, blah, blah.
And I like that she didn't seem mad about them doing the dope. Enjoying the devil's lettuce.
She stops them from leaving to extract a promise from Courtney that she'll stop by to pick up Liz's assignments.
Miss Sherwood is played by Carol Kane. For DTSW, they've seen Annie Hall.
And we've both seen Addams Family Values.
And I've seen Carol Kane and even Cowgirls Get the Blues. Terrible movie, don't see it, anybody. The Muppet Movie, Dog Day Afternoon, The Last Detail, Carnal Knowledge, and the TV series Taxi.
And I've seen her in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, The Princess Bride, Scrooged, and Joe versus the Volcano.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of those.
The next scene is a typical day at school, according to the titles. We see the following. Julie guiltily fretting during an existential lecture. Courtney in biology class looking less guilty as Dane Sanders, football captain, flicks his tongue at her with this accompanying sound effect for some reason.
That was so weird.
That was weird.
Like cartoon noises.
That was obviously meant to be funny.
Was there like a drum beat in there?
No, but it seemed out of place for this particular movie. Like, why would that?
It was weird. It's like that intro scene to Heathers with the fucking croquet, where you're like, why is this here? Oh, so weird.
Yeah, good point, yeah.
And Marcy in home economics class breaking a fertilized egg so it comes out looking bloodier. The gothic girl across from her calls it a stillborn and dips her finger in it.
Goth Girl is pretty big through character throughout this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's in most scenes at school. They spend a lot of time chilling with Goth Girl, I think. But she doesn't get a name, does she?
Nope.
Dane Sanders is played by Ethan Erickson, whom we've all seen in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show.
Gothic Girl is played by Anne Russo, who is in Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and Captain America, Civil War.
During lunch, the trio spitballs ideas on how to make Liz's murder look like it wasn't them who done it. Courtney decides that they're going to make it look like Liz was killed while being raped. With a jawbreaker. Somehow. Good question, Joe.
I didn't ask anything.
You didn't have to.
I don't know why they didn't make it look like some kind of bizarre tub slip and fall. Like where she was just having candy in the tub.
In the shower.
Like having a bubble bath, make it real slippery.
I mean, we wouldn't have a movie if they did this, but the same thing would be like, oh my God, look what we've done. And they call the police. These girls were never going to, what would they get?
Yeah.
They weren't going to put these girls in prison. At best, they get like parole.
This is manslaughter.
Yeah, it's definitely manslaughter.
Yeah, but they're upper class white girls with no criminal record. They were never going to serve serious time.
They're a group of popular and... like, it would be a public thing.
Yeah.
So don't forget that sometimes, hopefully, when it's more than just the one kid, they're like, oh, and plus they're women. So they've got to be punished. So, like, I think you forgot that they're girls. So, like, they'll want to make an example of these young ladies. Of course.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's something we disagree on because I do not think they would make example of these upper class white girls. They would go like, oh, these poor thing, you poor thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I hadn't seen Casey Anthony, maybe I'd disagree with you more, but she's free.
You know, if this movie was 20 years younger, like you'd see the Twitter account for Jawbreaker trying to like distance themselves from...
Yeah. Teenage girls get punished. Like, I would like to point that out far more than young, affluent teenage boys.
I don't mean to imply they don't get punished. I'm simply saying their punishment wouldn't be that severe.
Yeah.
They're not putting these girls in hardcore prison. I'm telling you right now.
You know how much scary TV we have about women's prison? It's all bad.
Yeah, and those women are usually poor. These girls are not going to be put.
I know. I could go in prison with the poor people. That's fucking terrifying.
Courtney forgets to pick up Liz's assignments, and Fern happens to be in Sherwood's office. Fern, who has an intense girl crush on the recently deceased, ends up on a mission to deliver the homework. We watch two scenes happening simultaneously. First, we have Fern slowly wandering around Liz's house, smelling the flowers and generally acting weird. The other scene is the other three girls manhandling Liz's body back up to her room and arguing about how to pose her for maximum believableness.
It's inconceivable to me, inconceivable, that no one sees these girls carrying this woman's body out of the trunk of that car.
I mean, I don't know how big that house is. You could have a private drive. Who knows? It's in was it in a carpet or sheets?
No, her body was out, right? She wasn't in a carpet or anything, right? She wasn't covered up.
I don't remember, and I'm not going to strain my brain trying.
Yeah.
Julie finds a card they got Liz last year that recorded and played back Liz saying,
"What are you doing to me?"
This card will be the key to the end of the movie. It records something that Courtney says that will be used against her in a court of public opinion. Sorry, spoiler.
The whole podcast is just a spoiler.
Yeah. The girls' arguing gets louder as Fern approaches the bedroom. When they open the door, Fern is standing there. Courtney demands to know what Fern heard, which all becomes moot when Marcy moves and Fern sees Liz's corpse on the bed. Instead of murdering her and adding to their body count, Courtney and Marcy make a deal with Fern. They'll adopt her and make her into a cooler person if she keeps her retainer trap shut about the whole murder thing. Julie is not a fan of this. Fern is.
Yeah, that was my first thought because I'd never seen this picture before. So I thought for sure they're going to kill Fern. Mm-hmm. They don't. They just make an offer with her. Say, I get to be a cool girl.
Right.
They make her an offer she can't refuse.
And they made her ugly, I think.
Oh, you think they made her worse? I thought...
well,
I don't know.
I think it was the style of the time, like, that was supposed to be... She's sexy and bad, but they couldn't actually make her look too cool. Because she was still she never, it was never that Cinderella kind of story that they have in the teen romances where she actually gets sexy. She's shiny, but in like a losery way, like nouveau riche.
Yeah, but it just so much there that didn't make any sense to me. Number one, that her scream, again, doesn't alert anybody. Apparently this neighborhood is accustomed to girls screaming.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, she changed her entire wardrobe and clothing, and apparently her parents don't notice this?
They have a whole new school makeover. And no, her parents just deal with her being different, as you see later on, spoiler. But yeah, it's just, kids do that. They change their style. Who knows where she got the money for the clothes, though? I will say that the clothes money is something. If she wasn't investing in that before.
Yeah, where was that coming from? Yeah, but anyway, go ahead, George.
Next is a de-nerdifying makeover montage. Fern shows up to school looking like Fern after a makeover, while the student body marvels at the new girl. Because kids are stupid. That's the joke.
That's right, they don't know who she is. They think she's the new girl to school.
I think she was supposed to have been so boring before. Because she was just brown and, didn't do anything to her hair and wore no makeup and rubbed all your things when you weren't in the house.
The thing is, she was in class with these other kids. Someone would have noticed her. Even the nerdiest kid in the world gets noticed. That's why they get picked on. So the idea that they wouldn't notice her gone or suddenly transformed is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Liz's parents arrive home, find their dead daughter, and call the police, who are then all over the room looking for evidence.
Now, here's another thing I found very curious. Now, am I wrong about this? The parents get out of the car because someone walks, I think it's their driver, right? Mm-hmm. Opens the door for them, so they have they have a chauffeur?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. They probably have a butler or some shit.
So they're that rich, and yet they leave their daughter alone?
She's gonna be 18 years old or something, right?
Yeah, she's a teenager.
Yeah.
I would not leave my teenager alone in my house.
Okay. Well, sometimes parents gotta do what parents gotta do. If they're
yeah, and if you're that wealthy, you have someone making sure that girl does not have a wild party or something going on in the house.
I mean, she's gonna be 18 years old. I don't think it really matters. As they know their daughter. She's 17, 18 years old or something. Yeah.
Even so, you still would not leave your kid alone in your house. I mean,
unless you trust your fucking kid.
Yeah.
Do you? Do they? I don't know why they would.
There's plenty of kids that get left behind, man.
It's entirely possible to trust a teenager. Just, I don't understand. You are so focused on this thing. This is the third time in this episode you have digging in on this point.
Well, I hate the movie.
All it takes to get through it is maybe they just trust their fucking kid.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
I got left to my own devices many a times. My parents.
You weren't a wealthy girl who had
I wasn't.
cool
I
friends.
wasn't even a wealthy girl. So,
Even though you did have that boat.
Joe, from what we know about Liz, she was the nicest, kindest person in that fucking school. She was a good student. We have no reason to think her parents wouldn't have just trusted her.
Yeah, she's going to have a good time with her friends.
Yes, moving on. That's what I want to do. Julie now sits with the goth kids, still looking like herself. Courtney threatens to wreck her reputation if she spills their secret. Courtney sits with Marcy and Fern, who now goes by Violette. I won't call her that. Courtney teaches Fern that they don't eat in front of other students because that would give others something to talk about that isn't how awesome they are.
I want to know, and again, I can only, Kit, sorry, you're our representative woman here.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember girls being freaked out about eating in front of people. Is that a thing? Because this is the second movie that we've seen.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's to have people see you eat, like you get your shit on your face. Are my teeth okay? Is there a bunch of crap in my face? Like, no, you don't want people to see you eat. Sometimes you'll even cover your mouth while you're eating.
I've sat and eaten with girls in high school. I don't remember any of them being worried about being seen eating, so.
It depends. It depends on how neurotic you are and how superficial you can be.
Yeah, evidently.
Yep. If you're in a position to have an eating disorder or to feel bad about yourself and your body, you might not want people to see you actually eat.
Well, that's fair. Because the girls I remember, they came in all sizes. They weren't worried about, am I thin enough? Am I skinny enough?
Yeah.
Those weren't the girls I remember in high school.
George eats like nobody's watching.
I know. I've seen George eat. He's like an animal.
I am an animal.
Oh, he's so cute.
I don't know about that part.
Yeah, well, you don't appreciate gold, sir.
Miss Sherwood is in her office and chokes on cigarette smoke as Detective Vera Cruz walks in, asking for information about Liz.
Detective Vera Cruz is played by Pam Grier, completely wasted here. For this podcast, we saw her in Jackie Brown. And on my own, I see her in Mars Attacks, Posse, Friday Forster, Sheba Baby, Foxy Brown, Scream Black Left Scream, and Black Mama, White Mama.
I've seen her in Escape from LA, and we've both seen her in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Oh, that's correct. Yes, we did.
Julie is boarding the bus when drama club hottie Zach offers and gives her a ride home. He will be integral to the ending of the movie, and Zach is played by Chad Christ, second cousin to Jesus.
That's a hell of a last name.
Well, it's his stage name. So.
Oh, you don't think it's his real name?
No, I don't think Chad Christ is his real name, Joe. I think it's hella made up, is what I think. Thank you very much. That is the most made up name of matey-uppy names. It might as well be Chatty McChristface.
I gotta check.
Chad Christ. Is that a real person? Oh.
Chad Christ was born on July the 24th, 1974 in Pennsylvania, USA. He's an actor known for Jawbreaker, Gattaca, and Rocky 6. It doesn't say he changed his name.
Yeah, no, because he goes by his stage name. He's not important. No one cares what his real name is. No one gives a fuck who you are, Chad Christ.
Okay.
Where's his mom? Martha Christ. And Stephen Christ. His dad. His sister, Rebecca Christ. No. Those are not real people, Joseph.
Okay. Well, you're awfully strong at this point. All right. I'll take your word for it.
Who chooses that?
Then we have another walk and talk, this time for Courtney and Marcy to give fashion advice to Fern. At night, Julie calls Fern and they have a moment of reminiscence from their shared childhood. Courtney calls, so Fern puts Julie on hold. Courtney then occupies Fern's entire evening on the phone, and Julie waits for a while before hanging up.
Didn't they have the phone conversation in Heather's?
I think they had the phone conversation in every one of the pictures we've seen, right?
Yeah, that's pretty standard. That's a check mark on the bingo board right there.
No, I agree. I had sisters, and boy, did they love being on the phone.
Okay. All right, Joe. Women be talking, apparently. No, I just meant that the scenes
The movies have this trope in them, and you're like, yep, women be like that.
Women? The teenage girls like to talk on the phone. That's not misogynist on my part.
Teenage boys like to talk on the phone, too.
Yeah, you guys, and guess what? You guys also have call hold, but it seems to have the scene where they're in a conversation and they have, like, to hold the call. Like, to show that they have 2 lines, for one.
Yeah.
Which is fucking amazing. But that seems to be a pretty standard scene is you're all devoted to me on this line. And leaving someone like either to talk shit to or on hold on the other line.
You know, it just occurs to me, do you think it's possible that the people who wrote the later scenes, like after this movie came out, saw this movie and said, okay, I should have that scene in my movie?
I mean... Is
art ever derivative? Yes, Joe. Sometimes art is derivative.
Okay.
I think 100% they said, let's make another Heathers. It's not let's do a girl murder thing.
So next, Dane is in Courtney's bedroom, and she teases him into sucking on an ice pop, sensually as she goes down on him. This is interrupted by a knock on the door from a couple of bastards, who Courtney seems to want to invite up to her room with her and Dane.
Can someone explain to me why that scene was there? Did that have to do with the murder or something? Or am I just missing something?
The next 4 scenes are, this is when everybody was notified that Liz was dead.
No, I understand that, but why do we need that scene with her and Dane in the bedroom?
To put an exclamation point on she's a fucking sociopath.
Okay.
Well, that and to have her in lingerie with a bunch of cops coming up to the house. Just remember, a dude wrote this movie, so he's like, yes, Rose McGowan, you will be in a baby doll peignoir. Shoving a fucking icy pop down a man's throat. Enjoy that scene.
That just seemed weird to me, but all right. I don't think that made her look like a sociopath. I just thought it was like...
I think it made her look like a good time.
Well, the guy would agree, sure.
Marcy gets an Oprah-inspired talk over dinner from her single dad about not being a follower. She's saved only by the doorbell, which I assume is also cops bearing news of Liz's death. Julie stands out by her pool and sees a hallucination of Liz rising from the water. Her mother comes racing out in tears to give Julie the news about Liz, then holds her daughter as they both cry. The next day, Detective Vera Cruz interrogates the 3 amigas. All 3, predictably, cover their asses, though the detective has some reservations about their statements.
The first reservation should have been, should I call a lawyer since you're all underage?
I don't know. I think they have someone in the room with them, like the guidance counselor. I'm pretty sure they're in the room, right?
I don't think there was anybody in the room with them. And even if there was, the guidance counselor, you're still supposed to either have your parents...
It's a movie.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore. The school announces Liz's death over its PA system. The film does a thing of Julie walking down the hallway while the rest of the students are frozen in mourning. It seemed a little heavy-handed for what is ostensibly a dark comedy, especially after we already saw Julie breaking down over it.
Okay, quick question. Did anybody laugh at any point in this film?
I don't know. I don't think I laughed at any point in the film. Like, the haha, this was funny. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
Just check it in, because it does say dark comedy. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
I don't remember the comedy part. I remember the dark.
This movie is barely 90 minutes, so to add some runtime, Courtney tells Fern to go after Zach. Fern is also approached and admired by the cheerleading team and ends up as head cheerleader.
Which is weird. Like, just being popular makes you a head cheerleader.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it also makes her head of the drama club, too.
Yeah. They're treating her like a transfer from another school. Like, the teachers are treating her like a school transfer.
Yep. Teachers are stupid, too. That's a joke.
That's the weird... Fern, whatever the fuck she's going... Or, not Fern, Violet. The existence of Violet is what even? They just made up someone and they're like, I don't have your transfer work yet. What's she gonna do at the end of the year? Take her Jed? Like,
yeah, none of that makes any freaking sense. But even more so, you're absolutely right. I mean, say what you want about cheerleaders, that takes skill. You just have to become head of the cheerleading team.
I guess she got real good at bounty.
You gotta actually try out for that. I mean, that's not a joke.
Yeah, I think this is before they bothered to... No, people had to have known. There's football, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, it's 1999. There's no way no girl who's a cheerleader did not have to try out for that. You just have to walk in and go like, all right, you're a cheerleader now.
I can't believe this was 1999. I could have sworn Jawbreakers was like way before that.
It feels like it, but it's not.
Zach and Julie spend a scene establishing their mutual love interest. He takes her to a rooftop in a drive-in theater.
Yeah, this is where I come when I don't want anyone to find me.
Now I can find you.
That will never matter.
No.
You can say that about a lot of scenes in this movie.
The detective brings in Fern for questioning. Fern goes into a creepy amount of detail about her girl crush on Liz, to include mentally playing connect the dots with moles on the back of Liz's neck. The detective gives some bullshit about friends always telling the truth that a 12-year-old should have seen through, much less a high school student.
Fern is still heterosexual, right? The film does not imply that she's lesbian. She has a girl crush on her, but it's not.
She's obsessed. I don't know if it's sexual. It's certainly fucking obsession.
Yeah.
Like, because, I can't judge people's sexuality, but I couldn't say, because it's not like I saw her, like, touching herself while she was looking through Liz's things.
How does that not make it into the movie?
It would not have surprised me. I think, would she wear all her clothes and pretend to be her? Maybe hug her a little too tight? I think it'd be borderline. But I don't know about sexual attraction.
So nevertheless, Fern has nightmares. Courtney tells Vera Cruz that Liz had a dark, slutty side. She narrates, and we see a first-person view from Courtney, not Liz, and we'll get to why in a sec, as she goes to a bar and finds the Stranger, a mundane-looking 70s stachioed dude.
Yep, cop stash.
Courtney brings the Stranger to Liz's bed with Liz's body underneath and has the Stranger make a sexy mess with her. Courtney told the story as if it was Liz, but Courtney herself did that to introduce things like body fluids and pubic hair to the crime scene the night before Liz's parents got home and called the police.
And the Stranger is played by Marilyn Manson, whom we've heard on the soundtrack of The Matrix for the podcast. And I've seen in Lost Highway.
In school, Fern manages to join the drama club to get close to Zach, who is skeptical since the head cheerleader has never been in the drama club, much less had the lead role.
Which again, you actually have to try out for the lead role in the drama club. You just don't walk in and get it.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, or else when, I lost track, Julie spills the beans to Zach about Liz's murder and who Violet really is. Zach says that she really should tell someone. Like, other than him, that is. Which, that's good advice. When Courtney finds Fern outside school on the hood of her car, hair blowing in the wind like an 80s car commercial surrounded by admirers, she gets furious and tries to put Fern back in her place.
Back then, you wouldn't wear leggings like that, but she's dressed in, like, shiny red leggings and half a top. Half a bright pink top or red top-ish. I don't know. She's dressed like a fucking devil on a red Corvette.
And I don't think those kids would be like, oh, look at her. Why would they all be surrounded her?
Because, like I said before, she can't actually be cool. She's got to be, like, embarrassing but expensive looking. And, you said it for the Heather show, how do these girls, like, who dresses like that? And the answer to this one is most definitely no girls in high school, because you would not be allowed within the school in the clothes they were wearing.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, they're dressed like baby prostitutes. Tell me they're not.
I wouldn't say baby prostitutes, but okay.
They're under 18. They're in grade school. Baby prostitutes.
You just told me they were 18 before.
Yeah, well,
their prosta-personas are in grade school.
Yeah, and that was for, like, staying at home. In fact, if you're over 13, your parents legally don't have to have someone watch you. You can just stay at home, by the way, Joe. Like, so yeah, I think that plenty of parents leave their kids home without caring who's watching them.
Fern doesn't back down because she knows their secret and feels like that makes her invincible. When the girls opened the trunk that first time, they were set to take a Polaroid picture of the moment. Courtney did take a picture, but then dropped the camera. Julie and Zach go back to that parking lot and don't find the picture, which had blown over a curb and was sitting in the gutter like 3 feet from where they were looking, because kids are stupid. Apparently.
Also, so much... All right, I don't want to get too bogged down on this, But the cops in this movie are the dumbest law enforcement you ever seen in your goddamn life.
Yeah. I mean, they're not meant to have any real part in the movie other than, like, one chick being like, did you do it? And that's it. Like, that's the amount of cop interactions that you really have.
Julie and Zach go to Detective Vera Cruz, who dismisses the story because they already caught the stranger. This is all news to Julie, who puts together what happened, that Courtney went out and found the stranger and then had sex with him in Liz's bed to make her story as convincing as possible. In the school hallways are hundreds of printed out photos of Fern as Fern with "Who is Violet" as a title. When Fern gets to the school and sees this, she passes out and cracks her head open. Like Joe having a coughing fit while having COVID.
It's exactly like that. Because I am a teenage girl.
Yep. And just like Fern, you were going to depend on being really popular when you walked up on stage and declared yourself valedictorian.
It's true.
Because that's what Fern's next move was.
Yes, and I was dressed like a baby prostitute.
Yeah, right? Right? Spaghetti straps and all.
She awakens in the nurse's office, stumbles out into the hallway where more photos are on the walls and lockers. She spends an annoyingly long time tearing them down before being confronted by Courtney and Marcy and then passing out again. Then it's prom night, and Zach is driving Julie and Fern around trying to figure out what to do about Courtney. They have nothing, so Julie asks to be dropped off at home. In her PJs, Julie sits on her bed and her mother brings in a bag of Liz's effects that Liz's mom thought she would like to have. In that bag is Chekhov's card from earlier, which had picked up Courtney saying,
I killed Liz. I killed the teen dream. Deal with it.
So Julie, Fern, and Zach show up at prom. Zach disappears to the auditorium sound booth, while Julie and Fern ignore the mocking and jeers from their former friends. In the sound booth, Zach uses his heretofore unmentioned knowledge of electronics and soldering.
I'm sorry, but you're right. That's not hinted at all. It's just suddenly you can do this. You're absolutely right. I didn't even pick that up.
Why did we even have to have Zach in this movie?
Well, so that he could wire the output of the card to a plug in the auditorium sound system. Because girls can't solder.
Yeah, girls can't do that.
Home ec was too full. I had to take shop.
I'm willing to bet you that either originally in the script or when they did, people came in to say what they thought of scenes in the movie, someone said, hey, she should have a boyfriend.
Yeah, we need more dick in this movie.
She's hanging out with all these girls, and that seems very lesy. Can't she have a boyfriend?
Okay, Joe.
Julie,
I don't know if I go that far, but
I'm just saying. I would be shocked if that wasn't the reason.
I think they were like, we probably need a guy or something in the movie because God forbid we pass a Bechdel test.
This movie actually passes the Bechdel test.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Yeah,
It does actually at some point.
Julie needed somebody to tell her to go talk to the police. Because there was no way her character was going to come to that conclusion on her own. So she needed somebody to bounce things off of who could say, hey, maybe go get somebody with more authority and power than you.
I needed a man to be my ethical barometer.
It didn't have to be a boyfriend, but boyfriends are easy to to put into a teen movie.
Yeah.
All I know is that in the 45th, these guys can be friends with each other and they didn't need to have a girlfriend. But as the movies got aware that gay people exist, suddenly people decide, oh, give her a girlfriend other than these two guys who sing gay. I promise you that is the reason most characters in movies have boyfriends and girlfriends. So people in middle America won't think, oh, they're gay.
You think it's been decades of no homo? Is that what you're saying?
I'm 100% saying that. Yeah.
That's your theory.
100% saying that.
Okay, let's mark that down. Things that Joe believes are an anti-gay conspiracy in the media.
I don't think it's a conspiracy.
And I'm actually on with Joe on this.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
When Mrs. Sherwood announces Courtney as the prom queen, Zach turns that recording on repeat somehow until all the students realize that it's Courtney's voice. Here, I'm going to play that recording again.
I killed Liz. I killed the teen dream. Deal with it.
Yeah, we do get to hear it over and over anyway.
The entire school turns on Courtney, throwing corsages, hurling insults, and basically running her out of the gym. But not before Julie gets a very unflattering Polaroid of Courtney's panicked face. The end.
They treat it like she's being pelted by stones. And it's just like some floral work. Oh no, she's being hit by corsages. Like, unless they're tons of needles in those corsages. Like, I don't know why she's acting like they're throwing like bits of blood at her or something, like guts.
She's really not punished for anything, much like Heather's, which you've already reviewed. Here's another character who has committed a murder and isn't punished at the end of it.
Yeah.
Oh, she has corsages thrown at her. Big fucking deal. She doesn't go to jail.
I don't know. The cops might be there at the end.
I don't think so. I didn't see her being arrested. So as far as I can tell, at the end of the film, she just has this horrible moment at prom. Big deal.
Yeah, everybody knows, I guess, so she doesn't get to be prom queen. That's the real punishment for her.
That is the real punishment.
Yeah. Fucking Marilyn Manson stays in jail. Poor fucker. It's okay. He was fucking a high schooler.
So, does this still work?
Well, we all know how I feel, so how do you guys feel about it?
I mean, in what way?
So, I'll say, if this is supposed to be a dark comedy, it's not fucking funny.
No.
There's nothing funny about this movie. It is just bizarre. There's so many plot holes in it. It seems to be written by a guy, again, obviously, who has a problem with women and wants to portray them as monsters.
I mean, I don't know about that. I think it's a product of its time, and you know, it lacks a lot of the depth we would expect in what is ostensibly like supposed to be a kind of a fun movie about murder. You know, I think it is where it is 1999. It is NSYNC and Shakira and Britney Spears. That's what was happening then.
So you think it works?
I think it's shitty. And I think its shittiness is a product of its environment of the year 1999.
So it should stay there.
Yeah, it should stay there for sure.
Okay, yeah. So it doesn't work. All right.
But the clothes apparently are coming back, which is painful.
That happens with everything.
Yeah.
That happens with every era.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. We'll survive that. We survived bell bottoms coming back. We'll survive that.
Yeah, flared pants.
Like I said, I already said how I feel about this film.
In the cold open, no less.
Mm-hmm.
In the cold open, no less. And needless to say, my opinion hasn't changed. What I find very curious about this film is like, I feel like there is actually a good movie in there. This could have been a very interesting movie because I referenced the show notes, not so much Heather's, but Better Luck Tomorrow, which I thought like it has some semblance of that, and I thought that was a better movie. It could have been that picture, but it wasn't.
There are plenty of pictures that are all like of this same genre, like. Oh,
absolutely, and some are better than others.
Yeah,
this is not one of the better ones.
We could keep watching more. That's the new podcast.
Or we could save it for next October.
Yep, exactly. Once a year. Come in for Girl Bullies Sparilla.
Okay. George, what's up next?
So next week is the episode that will release closest to Halloween. Mm-hmm. So we are watching The Craft from 1996, which fits into our Girl Bully Palooza extravaganza. Yeah. And also is about witchy and, magic stuff. So Halloween.
Yeah, it's spooky.
Yeah.
Being punished for wanting to be popular.
Girls wanting to be popular is always spooky.
Punishing women for having power.
That's the most unforgivable thing, giving women power.
At least this week we didn't have to deal with, like, teen suicide.
No one kills themselves, it's true.
No gay sparkling water here. In fact, if anything, it was sexually empowering for that young man and that ice pop. I think that was a bold and forward-thinking move.
Sure, why not?
That character grew more than any other character in this movie.
At
in that
least
one
a few
moment.
inches. Yep. That's good stuff.
Yep. So, Kit, thank you once again for not only joining us, but for making us do this. Nothing's changed much from yesterday when we recorded the last episode. I don't think you have anything new to plug. But anything you want to say to the good, fine folks who listen?
Well, nothing to them, but to you, I have ice pops in the freezer.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Okay, well, kids have fun with that.
No, I have nothing to say to the peoples. They can listen to me on the every once in a while on the Does This Still Work podcast.
And you will be listened to the next time we have the episode of The Craft, which is, I guess, next week, right?
Yep.
We said next week, so it will be next week.
I promise to be funnier than Joe.
Oh, you were fine. You were great. So I guess that's it for this episode. I'm Joe Dixon. Thanks for listening.
And I'm George Romaka. Thanks for listening indeed, because if a podcast drops and there's no one around to hear it, it's just another collection of ones and zeros that doesn't matter.
How could she do that? She's so evil. And she's only in high school.
You've been listening to Does This Still Work? Produced by Joe Dixon and George Romaka. The hosts can be reached via social media, email, or the contact page at dtswpod.com. Be good to yourself and others, because that still works.
Okay, sorry about that, folks.
Hey, Joe, you watching?
Watching you, yeah. Okay.
You guys are stupid.
George, years ago, a woman told her mom she was joining the Air Force. The mother responded by asking her daughter if she was a lesbian or a whore. What's the most fucked up thing anyone said to you when you said you were joining the Navy?
Can you fold a fitted sheet by yourself?
Gentlemen and lady, is it always best to seek out pleasure over avoiding pain?
Joe, do you believe in aliens?
If someone has less material wealth than me, does this automatically make him or her unhappy?
So, Joe, what's your cringiest drunken moment?